Butts don't live in Inglewood. 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 Butts don't live in Inglewood.
The reason for our being here this morning is to demonstrate our disgust with the election that was held on the 11th of January, 2011. We feel as though that James T. Butts do not live in Inglewood. It was proven back in November 2010 that he came before the city council with his attorney, and he tried to focus on the fact that he lived there. The city council and the city clerk asked him to sign an affidavit. He refused, he and his attorney both. And so had he signed the affidavit by the city clerk, then it would have been known that he lived in Inglewood. But had they found that he did not live in Inglewood, he would be going to jail. And he's yet today to have signed an affidavit.
Why are you protesting here today?
I'm here today because I have an issue with someone who claims to live in the city of Inglewood, and he does not live in the city of Inglewood. He was elected as mayor, and I think that that's an integrity issue for someone to say, I live here, I represent your city, but then you don't live in our city. So I'm outraged, and that's why I'm here. I want my voice to be heard.
Our issues are two.
Right.
One, Mr. Butts doesn't live in Inglewood. It's plain and simple. They've played with paperwork. They've played with the legalities of when you're supposed to file to be a resident of Inglewood or a registered voter. And we want someone who lives in our city to represent our city. We want someone who has an interest in our city succeeding to live in our city. And living in Ladera Heights, although it's nice and close to Inglewood, it's not Inglewood proper. And we've talked about the fact that he's currently registered or listed at a home on 102nd in Inglewood in an unpermitted property that he's supposedly living in a converted garage, but via paperwork from the city of Inglewood, the planning committee, it's not a permitted facility. So you're coming into the city in a crooked way, in a residence that's not yours. In a January interview with Dominique Dupreme at KGLH, the issue of where he lived was addressed, and his statement was, well, if I'm elected, I'll buy a home in Inglewood. That's quid pro quo politics. You elect me, I'll move. That's not what we want. We want someone who has skin in the game in Inglewood. You have a vested interest in seeing our community succeed. You understand where the potholes are. You understand which businesses are failing because of the economy, which ones are new and which ones you need to support, not which ones you pass on the way back to your home in Ladera Heights. And that's not something we want. We want an elected official who is a resident of Inglewood. That is what is required from our city, and that's what is required from our residents. The second issue that we are addressing is the inordinate amount of provisional ballots that were cast in this last election. In our gubernatorial election in November, 50% of Inglewood's registered voter population turned out. By 10,000 votes, over 7,000 votes, Danny Tabor was elected our mayor to serve out the unexpired term of Roosevelt Dorn previously, but at this one that caused a runoff, 10,000 to 4,000 or 7,000. And in this past election on January 11th, 13.7% of our voters showed out. And in this one that Mr. Butts was called the actual winner by 700 votes over Mr. Tabor. That's not acceptable to us. It's not the election results, it's the process. We have never had 25% provisional ballots submitted in any election with Inglewood. So where did all these provisional ballots come from? Especially in District 3, where voter turnout is normally low. So those are also things that we are asking to be inquired about, and we've talked to our attorneys, we've talked to other citizens around Inglewood, and these are things that we want to make sure are good and proper. If he won fair and square, fine. We will support him in his initiatives to better Inglewood. But we're not a city for sale. We're not a city for negotiation, and we want someone who lives in our city, someone who cares about Inglewood, and someone who understands what's going on the streets of Inglewood day to day.
I've been a resident of the city of Inglewood since 1963, and we do want a fair election. Mr. Butts was disqualified in a prior election. Mayor Tabor won that election. We're not satisfied with the fact that he is not a resident of Inglewood. We would like something done about it. We would like it investigated. And as was said, if in fact he won fair and square and he does reside in Inglewood, which we have every indication, including Steve Cooley's office doing an investigation, we will take that. But we stand before his residence. He lives here. We in Inglewood want one of our own, someone who lives in Inglewood to govern our city. Bell has had a problem. We're not going to let that happen, and that's why we're here today.
I'm like everyone else here. I'm very upset about the fact that we have a person here who seems to be usurping our franchise in our city and our electoral rights. This is where this gentleman lives, right here. He does not live in Inglewood. He never has lived in Inglewood. He served as a police officer in Inglewood, but that doesn't make it. What we want, given the economic crisis hitting our city and hitting this country at large, we want a resident, somebody who's lived in Inglewood and has grown up in Inglewood. Personally, I think that somebody's using voter irregularities to get himself in office is a disgrace. And I think given the situation in the black community all over the country, where we are suffering, black males are suffering something like 50% unemployment, to have somebody do something like this is disgusting. We don't need to go back to the tactics of the South where we were disenfranchised and kept from voting, being used by people who are American Africans or African Americans. We should already respect our franchise and respect our rights, respect our own people's rights to make up their own mind, not try to take their rights away from them. Thank you.
Here's my question. Our elected official, City Councilwoman Judy Dunlap, as you see the shirt says, Judy said this. Actually, Judy Dunlap was in a race against Butts for mayor, and she put a letter out in October stating that Butts didn't live here, he's a liar, he doesn't live in Inglewood, he's a carpetbagger, and that she was the one that initially threw the red flag to get him disqualified from the first race. She waits a week before the election and puts out a letter endorsing Butts. So we the citizens are concerned about what did Judy say. We have it in writing here on her letterhead with her signature saying that Butts does not live in Inglewood. That's my concern, is our officials at City Hall that are making statements. We don't know who to believe, but we do know that Butts does not or is under investigation on his residency. So Judy Dunlap, come clean and let us know. Does he live here or does he not?
Mr. Butts lives across the street. You're his neighbor. Tell us what you think about that.
I haven't seen him for months. I know he was living there, certainly, and I used to see him regularly almost every day. And I haven't seen him for months, so I do not know if he lives there or not, to be honest with you right now. The for sale sign's been up for quite a while.
Yeah, months or a year or?
Not a year, I guess. It's been months. I didn't pay that close of attention, but definitely it's been there for months.
And
for sure.
Has he said anything to you about moving to be mayor of Inglewood?
No. The first I heard about it was when I was driving through Inglewood and I saw signs with his name on it. That's how I knew he was running for mayor.
How long have you been living here at this residency?
It's been a long time, and I couldn't tell you. I've been here 13 years, something like that, and so he's been here at least most of that time, or I'm pretty sure, so I don't remember exactly.
A number of years.
Yeah, a number of years, yeah.
Butts don't live in Inglewood. 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 Butts don't live in Inglewood.